Hi, my name is Natalie.
And I'm Gerald, and welcome to Conspeared.
Conspeared. So, this is kind of a first time podcast with first time podcasters, and it's kind of what it says in its name. I'm personally really into conspiracy theories and paranormal and what else? True
True crime,
crime.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um,
And I'm like the critic of all these things. I'm the exact opposite. So when she comes up to me and she's like, let's watch this or let's talk about this, she likes to be open minded about everything that could, be possible out there.
Well, another thing is, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and so does he. And even though we have different interests in the podcast, I've kind of been looking for a podcast that talks about all the things that I'm interested in, like specific conspiracy theories or specific true crime episodes. And I haven't really been able to find one that talks about all the ones that I love. And, you know, I'm just one person, but I feel like there's probably other people out there who enjoy the same things that I do. So I kind of wanted to start this podcast to basically talk about the conspiracy theories and the
That you like
paranormal
the
that I
most.
like, right?
Yes.
And I'm kind of dragging him into this, Gerald into this, because he he will listen to these things, but he doesn't necessarily agree with my perspectives on them and how open-minded I am about some of these things being true. But at the same time, these things interest him, and I don't know. Speak for
Yeah,
yourself. What do
they
you?
they interest me, but they interest me in a way that I like to figure out ways why I believe they're not real. For instance, the lizard people. How many times do you hear?
I don't believe in the lizard people. That's not one that I believe in.
Right,
I really
right. And that's why I brought up that one, because we'll probably never have a podcast on lizard people unless a lot of people ask for it.
And
which,
guys, if, I'm
please
sorry
don't.
to
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I said, this is the first time we've done a podcast, and we're still kind of messing with the audio. So if it gets really loud or really quiet, just kind of we're gonna fix it as we go. So please
And
forgive.
critique us.
Yeah, critique this, but this is the first one, so please forgive if there's some issues. Okay, continue.
I'm sure they'll get over it. Just leave comments and tell us, if we say too much or
I say like too much.
Yeah,
Guilty.
I was gonna say she likes some and I say like a lot. So we'll work on it and we'll see how it goes. We just thought we'd introduce ourselves in this first podcast.
Yeah, we're actually, other than the fact that we're both into like conspiracy theories and all that good stuff, we're from South Carolina. I feel like that's all we should say.
Well,
I don't want to be specific where we live.
You're originally from South Carolina.
I'm from South Carolina, but you're.
I was born and raised in West Virginia, but I've lived in a lot of states on the East Coast and ended up in South Carolina because, well, I just love it here.
They'll be able to tell that West Virginian accent.
Oh,
Trust me.
yes, I'm
I
sure
don't.
they
I don't
will.
feel like I sound like I'm from the South, and probably people will be like, "Yes, you do," but.
Yeah, we should have had people try to guess where we were from.
Probably
but,
so.
It doesn't matter.
Either way. And I, ironically, I teach fifth grade. Again, I'm not going to say where, but so I personally kind of feel like I should have been some kind of investigator or lawyer or criminal lawyer because I'm so into this kind of stuff. But yeah, I teach fifth grade.
And I moved to be a school psychologist, but
So we're both in education.
well,
First.
at first, yes, but after going through the school system, I ended up changing my mind, and now I'm looking for a different line of work.
Yeah.
But until then, I am working in behavioral health.
He's looking into like college professor or like
Something
to do with utilizing his psychology, because I mean he has more education than I do. He's just trying to figure out
what I want
How
to
to
do with my
utilize it.
life.
Right.
I want to be in a career that I'm
Right.
happy with, you know? Not something that's going to stress
That's
me
probably
out
another
every day.
reason that these things interest you is because you do like the psychological aspect behind some of these things.
Yes.
And I don't have an excuse. I'm just weird.
Yes, you will hear me in the future talking about as much as I can find about the psychological aspects.
Well, when it comes to the true crime stuff, every time I mention it to you, you kind of get into the psychological aspect of why did they make the decisions that they did, or is it drugs, or is it a mental thing going on
Mental
with them?
instabilities,
Right.
yes.
So that
yes.
part can actually help with some of these discussions, your background in that.
And I think when we do the true crime podcast,
You'll take a back seat because I'm
yeah.
so into the true crime. He
I
doesn't really care about true crime. I listen to all the
wouldn't
podcasts.
I wouldn't be much of a skeptic, but I will be trying to pull things apart and figure out why they're happening.
Yeah. I mean, there will be some topics that we're going to talk about where I have more of a lead hand, first knowledge in it, and he will have first knowledge in some of them.
Yeah, and the other one will just put in what their 2 cents per se would be.
Right. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, yeah, I guess we're looking for an audience, but I think the main thing we both wanted out of this is to just kind of share our thoughts and perspectives, get them out there. I just love the discussion aspect of it.
Yeah.
I like
and we
to
do
hear,
this anyway.
Yeah, we do this anyway. And I love to hear other people's perspectives on these topics. And so I'm really looking for like someone to comment and either disagree or agree and give me new knowledge. I love learning about these things, so.
And I would like to put out there that if you're more of somebody who watches vlogs, if you would like to see us record our podcasts and put them on YouTube, let us know.
Yeah, there was a point in time where I had like 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, and unfortunately there were some copyright issues, so which resulted in that account getting deleted, so I haven't really done YouTube since then. But yeah, like you said, if you want us to kind of record these as we're podcasting, like give a video to go along with it, yeah, we can do that. But like I said, this is our first time, so we're just kind of trying this part out and then
see what it's like.
Yep,
exactly.
Okay, so let's get into this podcast.
Who are we?
Well, we already talked about ourselves. I mean,
I figured there would be other things that you want to talk to them about.
I kind of want to talk about the podcast. Like,
you know what? Let's talk about the podcast.
Okay.
They can ask us questions if they want in the future.
Okay, just all you need to know about us is we gave you a bit basics. We're both into this, but we have varying perspectives. So we figured, like, this is going to be a podcast where people can listen, and it's not going to be a one-sided perspective. He is very skeptical, and I'm not gullible, I would say. I'm just open-minded.
Gullible.
I'm not, no.
Bless me.
I'm open-minded. Okay, so I just, like he said, I don't believe in everything. I don't believe in lizard people. I don't believe in Bigfoot or Nessie or...
Oh gosh, we're going to have some people in there commenting.
I have to be, listen, I have to be convinced of stuff, okay? Yeah. Like, I have to be told, like, I have to be given some... Evidence. And some of the topics I've selected for this podcast, I don't choose, I'm going to be doing the topic selections for the most part, but I don't choose things that don't have evidence. We
just lost some subscribers already because of the Nessie and...
Whatever. If you're a Nessie believer, I support you 100%. Comment and give me some evidence and we'll talk about it. Okay.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Okay. But the podcast. We thought about it. This podcast is called Conspeared, obviously. But not just your pop culture conspiracies. It's going to be contain all types of conspiracies regarding pop culture, sci-fi, true crime, paranormal, that's Gerald's favorite. He totally believes in everything paranormal.
She's joking, of course.
So, unexplained phenomena around the world. I would like to have an episode where we talk about our own personal experiences. I have paranormal personal experiences. He does have experiences he's told me, but of course he's explained them away. But to me, they're not explainable.
Psychology explains a lot of mine.
I don't know, but to me they're not explainable.
I guess you'll find out in when we do that podcast.
Okay.
But please, if you want us to go over a certain conspiracy,
Yeah, comment and tell us.
Please comment and let us know.
Yeah. And the last, I mean, just really in general, anything that is unexplained or mysterious, because there are some things I want to talk about, but I don't know what category to put them in.
Yeah, who cares if there's not a category?
They're just, like,
they can just name something, and we'll be glad to research it and see what we can figure out.
But the goal is mainly to discuss things that are either, number one, unheard of, or number two, discuss well-known things, but we're going to have done extensive research, and we'll both have differing ideas and opinions, and also present different ideas and opinions about them. All the opinions out there will be here, and then we'll probably give our opinions. And I know there's some of these topics that I don't have an opinion on yet, but I guess we'll see.
I'm sure that we will come up with ideas and our own opinions as we do our research. And we're going to try to put out podcasts at least once a week. You never know. It might come out twice a week if we're feeling antsy and we just want to talk about something. Like something excites us. I
feel like, I mean, if there's something like recent to come up, usually I always see things on Twitter and I'll tell him about them. And they'll be like, cool.
Yeah. And then
but they're exciting to me.
And then I start poking holes.
Yeah. or explain this to me.
Yes.
I feel like, anyway. But yeah, the whole point is to present these things and for he and I to have a raw discussion about them. This is not going to be one of the podcasts, unfortunately or fortunately, where it's, I don't know, professional. I mean, we're very informal. I feel like this podcast is a discussion between the two of us that we would be having on a couch, but we are just recording it. It's going to be very candid, very raw, our own opinions. I also like the idea of me doing some research and then giving it to him and getting his reaction from it.
Because that's what we usually do anyway.
Yeah.
We'll be sitting on the couch and she'll say, I saw this podcast, or I heard this podcast, or watched this video, and she'll tell me about it, and then I'll just start asking my questions like I always do.
Or at first he'll act disinterested, and then like an hour later he'll come up, well, look at this research I found about this, disproving it. So like at first he was...
It's because I had to be prepared for it.
At first he's like, okay, that could be true. And then he researches it to find out if it's not true.
Yeah,
You love disproving me on things.
Oh, yeah. I am the devil's advocate when it comes to
So I'm
anything.
hoping in this podcast we come across a topic where he's like, I don't know.
I hope so,
That'll
too.
be my goal.
I hope so, too.
That will be,
but I am going to have my phone close to me so that way I can start doing some research.
Like, I already have research for our first episode that we'll probably end up recording today or tomorrow to be released sometime this weekend. But,
maybe released on, like, the 8th or 9th.
Yeah, but, I mean, anyway, I've done the research and I was, like, telling him, and he's like, oh, well, tell me what you found. I'm like, no. I can't. It's got to be a raw reaction. He got nervous because it might be something he can't disprove.
Well, it's not really nervous. Whenever I'm not prepared, the way I look at it is like the judicial system, and you have, somebody giving one side, and if you bring something to court, then the other person has to be prepared.
Right.
But if I'm not prepared for it, then I could go completely blank.
But at the same time, I think we owe it to our listeners to have these candid responses. And
that's
because they're getting these things possibly for the first time. So I feel like if you're hearing it for the first time, you might ask me questions that they might be wondering and want to ask me but can't.
Yeah.
Right?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. So, okay. I'm not even, I haven't even done any research for this weekend's podcast.
Well, he's already told me he doesn't plan on doing research. He plans on letting me do the research on the topic and then poking holes, which is fine. I mean...
I love poking holes.
Yeah, he loves poking holes. Okay, so this podcast is going to be uploaded. I'm thinking on SoundCloud first, and like I said, this is our first time, so we don't really know if
Yeah, how it really works. Like,
but
I listen to Podbean and you listen
Overcast,
to Overcast.
Yeah.
So
we're going to try to find a way to get them all uploaded so that there's Conspeared will be searchable on all of these podcast websites.
And maybe we'll start our own website at
Yeah.
one point in the future.
We'll see how responses go and if people are interested, and maybe we'll put like files and pictures to kind of go along with some of the episodes.
Yeah. And so we'll wait a while and they'll have to figure out what we look like.
Yeah.
Or maybe the video, YouTube video will come out. You never know.
Yeah. So, I mean, this episode was just about, this is our pilot, letting you know a little bit about us, what our podcast is about. Yeah, and we'll be uploading weekly. And
that's about it.
That's about it. I mean, and we'll try to keep our episodes like minimum to about, I'd say no more than an hour. Yeah. Because, I mean, I like listening to podcasts. I have a little bit of a commute to work, so I always listen to my podcast on the way to work, and I know my commute is a little under an hour, so.
Yeah, see, it only takes me 15 minutes, so I listen to like.
So podcast episodes, like, for me, an hour is a good amount of time. But, I tend to ramble and get really passionate into some of these things, so you never know, it might go over an hour.
All right, well, I don't know how long this one's been going on, but
16 minutes.
Yeah, so we agreed at the beginning that this intro was going to be 15 minutes. It went over 15
It's a little
minutes.
over, but at the same time, it's like, this isn't scripted. We're having a conversation.
Right. It doesn't really matter. If we go over an hour, maybe people are interested. And if they're not, that's what the stop button or skip button is for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, definitely stay tuned for our first episode.
What is our first episode?
We are going to be talking about...
What is our first episode?
The Mandela Effect.
Mandela Effect.
Now, I've seen a lot of people do some podcasts about this and even YouTube videos about it, but...
Can you give us like a little bit? So
you
that
mean
way...
you mean you. Give you a little bit as to what's going to be in the...
Somebody, give it to us.
I think we'll get into that in the first episode, but I know a lot of people have done videos about this, but the reason I feel like this is good for us, I went to extensive research about this. I mean, I discovered stuff that I hadn't known. Like, I feel like a lot of the videos and podcasts were kind of skimming the surface about it. Mm-hmm. I really researched it in depth. So I feel like that'll be good.
I watched
for the
a couple
listeners.
of YouTube videos. Does that count?
No. Okay. So tune in for episode 1, The Mandela Effect. Like I said, I think we can release it tomorrow or within a day or two.
I'll say it'll be out no later than the 9th.
9th, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay. Well, thank you guys for listening, and I can't wait to get started on this. I'm really super pumped.
Yep.
Just having conversations about my favorite things in the world.
Looking forward to it, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening to the pilot of
Conspeared.